That's how you got started. How did you get on this writing journey? Did you love it before, or kind of a new thing? How did you get here?
So I think like a lot of writers, I started when I was very young, little kid, daydreaming in school, paying attention, writing in their notebook. Some kids were doodlers. I was definitely a writer. Love to imagine worlds and start world building in my notebook and just building out these little plot lines, little beginnings of stories. Never ever finished the story when I was a kid,
Of course.
And so it got to the point where in class I would get excited for certain classes because I knew that, especially math, I knew that I was going to turn my brain off, not pay attention, and that was story building time. And I would just sit in the back, not pay attention, and work through my plot lines, work through my characters. So I always loved it. And ever since I was a kid, I had the dream of, I want to be I want to write a book someday. And when you're a kid, it can mean a lot of things. It could mean a, physical book like this. It could mean you have a story completed. It could mean you're a published author. But I knew as a kid that I wanted that. And then in high school, embarrassing to say, but I own it now. I started writing fan fiction. And the reason why I wrote fan fiction was because there were these sites. It's embarrassing what I wrote fan fiction about. But what I would do is I would take stories that I had already written or had ideas for, and I would just change the character name to a famous person. That way, I had an audience that was just like there as rabid fans of this person, and they're excited to read. But really, I had a separate story that I wanted them to read anyway. So that was like my outlet through high school, and I wrote a lot of fan fiction, and then college came and died out. And after college, I had the more refined skill set, and I was like, well, I do want to do this, and it's just a matter of finding the time and the energy. So I wrote a manuscript that I didn't feel super confident in it, but that was like, I can actually write something from the beginning to the end. And so after I wrote that manuscript, I was like, I'm going to write something that I have my heart into. And that was Neon Noir. So yeah.
Nice.
That's how I got there.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think I might be the only writer ever who actually caught the bug later in life. So in school, I wanted nothing to do with writing. So I was a musician, like I did band and choir and all that stuff. I did theater stuff. But I wanted nothing to do with writing, and I wanted nothing to do with like my mom always wanted to push me towards doing like video. Like we had our high school TV film group or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those things I do now, and I wanted nothing to do with them when I was a kid. Yeah. So, there's maybe a cautionary tale about sometimes your parents know maybe what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible. Yeah, that's really cool. And I love I love the fan fiction stuff. I think it's actually really smart because if you already know the subject matter, especially, it's a way for you to practice without having to do a lot of the nitty gritty of creation. You can just practice the writing part.
Mm-hmm.
So
definitely.
I think it's really smart.
Thank you. That's not often used to describe somebody writing fan fiction. So I appreciate that.
I've done the occasional writing exercise where, for example, when the Obi-Wan Kenobi show came out, the Star Wars show, I was a little disappointed in some of the story elements to that. And so there were parts that I liked, and then there were parts I was like, that was kind of weird. I don't know why we did that. So I just as an exercise, wrote a couple of scenes that this is how I would have done that differently, just as an exercise. So I think it's useful.
Yeah, and it's fun, right?